Here in Nigeria, the $19 billion Dangote Refinery in Lekki, Lagos is set to begin production following the arrival of its first crude oil shipment, marking a significant milestone for Nigeria's petroleum industry. Arise News energy correspondent Georgina Ndukwe Ezeaika has the details.
On the 22nd of May 2023, former President Muhammadu Buhari commissioned the 650,000 barrels per day Dangote Refinery located at the Lekki Free Zone in Lagos State, Nigeria. Described as one of the largest in the world, the Dangote Refinery has the capacity of producing 3 billion standard cubic feet of gas per day. Since then, the privately owned refinery is yet to be operational. One of the reasons adduced is the lack of domestic crude feedstock. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited owns 20% stake in the refinery. Company sources had said NNPC Limited had recently agreed to supply 6 million barrels of crude oil as feedstock to the Dangote Refinery this December. According to reports by Tanker Tracking Data S&P Global, the Otis tanker carrying 1 million barrel cargo of Nigeria's Agbami crude from Chevron's terminal set sail on December 6th and is confirmed to have docked at Dangote Offshore Crude Receiving Terminal. With the arrival and expected commencement of operations at the Dangote Refinery, industry experts say there is hope that Nigeria can now attain her target of reducing petroleum import and bridging the inadequacy of existing state-owned refineries, as well as transforming Nigeria's oil and gas sector. Georgina Ndukwe Ezeaika, Arise News.
Well, we are now being joined for a conversation on the expected benefits from this notable development in the oil industry by Dr. Diran Fawibe, a former director at Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and chairman and chief executive officer at International Energy Services Limited. Good to see you again, sir, and you're welcome to the morning show.
Good morning. Good to see you again.
Good morning. Thank you very much. All right, let's start this way, Dr. Fawibe. Break it down for us what this momentous occasion means for the Dangote Refinery and for the Nigerian oil sector. A lot of people have waited patiently since May when former President Buhari commissioned the refinery. But here we are, Yorubas who say that Uju Agbami Ladei, that we are right now in the thick of it. Tell us the significance of moving the crude from Agbami oil fields to Lekki, the Dangote Refinery. What does it portend for Nigeria?
Well, the moment Nigerians have been waiting for is almost here, or I would say it's practically here. That is when this big investment will start to yield positive results for Nigeria economy. We are aware that the refinery is costing about $19 billion. In any country, in any economy, a project of this nature, of this magnitude, is a game changer for that economy. Whopping $19 billion, and 650,000 barrels per day refinery. That is the throughput capacity. In any economy, this capacity of refining crude oil and turning it to petroleum product is a no mean feat. So Nigerians have been expecting this to happen. And I salute the gut of Alhaji Dangote, who at one time was to buy Port Harcourt Refinery and was denied. The sale by passenger administration was cancelled when the succeeding regime took over. And the sale would have probably limited Dangote to just about 210,000 barrels per day, or probably expanded the refinery, but maybe not as much as 650,000 barrels per day that we are now having in Lagos. And the refinery was appropriately cited because Lagos consumes about 40% of oil products in Nigeria, or if we take Southwest and adjoining state of Edo, we can be talking about over 50% of Nigeria oil product consumption. So citing the refinery in Lagos is like citing it in the heart of the market for petroleum products. Now, the refinery has been commissioned by President Buhari, but is now going on stream, especially now that the refinery has received the first cargo of 1 million barrels. Probably the 1 million barrels will be used to test run the refinery because we are told that about 5 other cargoes will be coming in the next few weeks. But 1 million barrels, even when you have the 6 cargoes, it will just amount to processing the capacity of up to about 350,000 barrels per day. So in effect, when Dangote Refinery goes on stream, full stream, you may be processing about 10 cargoes of crude oil at a time. So the fact that this refinery is going on stream is a welcome news for Nigerians and for Nigerian economy for understandable reasons. We know that the subsidy removal has created a lot of problems for Nigerians because the price of oil products imported into the country spiked to the point that it's now causing major problem for Nigerian consumers. Now, many people had advocated in the past that before subsidy removal takes place, NNPC should ensure that the refineries, government refineries of named throughput capacity of 445,000 barrels per day come on stream. In that regard, it will reduce the amount of importation of petroleum products over which subsidy used to be paid. And we know over time that a lot of monkey business was going on with the subsidy, and now, up till now, some of the issues are still in the court of law in Nigeria. So if we are refining Nigerian oil locally, as we used to do at one time, it will reduce the problem of importing petroleum products. And in fact, we might be able to manage the prices, the uniform pricing system that we were operating until the President Tinubu removed subsidy and then allowed market forces to start to operate in the pricing of petroleum products. The uniform pricing system was established in October 1973 for reasons given the wisdom of the policy of government at that time. And a policy that over time should have been reviewed, because at the time we are now removing subsidy should have been removed a long time ago. Probably if we had done that, the level of hardship Nigerians are currently suffering as a result of this would have been at a lesser level. So, but be that as it may, now that this refinery is coming on stream, Nigerians should rejoice when we start to have petroleum products churning out of this refinery. And hopefully, the government refineries will also complement what Dangote Refinery is going to be producing. NNPC has been assuring Nigerians that come December this month, that the Port Harcourt Refinery will start to operate. We still don't know whether this will come to reality, but be that as it may, we can be sure that in the next couple of months, another refinery will join the Dangote Refinery. And in next year, hopefully before the year runs out, we may be having Warrior and Kaduna Refinery also coming on stream, in which case we will have about 4 refineries or if we that's if we take Port Harcourt as one, because we have 60,000 barrels per day refinery, the one that was built in 1965, which is now being modified and renovated or rehabilitated, and the 150,000 barrels per day, that's the newest refinery in Nigeria, and the two combined will make up for 210,000 barrels per day. If we have that, and we have Kaduna and Warri refinery, coming on stream, Nigeria should now be rejoicing that at last we will now have our own crude oil to be refined in our refineries, and in the process reduce the problem of fuel shortage, and perhaps the pricing will be better than it is right now. So the Dangote Refinery coming on stream is a welcome development for Nigerians. And one thing I've been talking to people is that by the time we are having Dangote Refinery producing, and Nigerian refineries also producing, Nigeria will reestablish leadership in terms of energy security, not only for our country, but for some other neighboring countries, because as you know, Nigeria will be exporting petroleum products to some other countries, neighboring countries. And when these countries are looking up to Nigeria for supply of petroleum products, then it's another way of establishing your leadership, at least in this part of the world. So to that extent, Nigerians are going to benefit tremendously, and we congratulate Alhaji Aliko Dangote for getting this refinery to this level. Like I said, it has a lot of guts, to bluff the cancellation of the Port Harcourt refinery that was sold to him and then was cancelled, but now went on, take the bull by the horn and establish a bigger refinery that we are now going to witness the production of petroleum products in Nigeria.
All right, Doctor. Absolutely, it is a welcome development. A lot of Nigerians are elated, but I am glad that you touched on the subsidy removal and the hanky-panky that you referred to. Now, you retired as a director from the NNPC, so I'm sure you know the inner workings of the company. I'd like for you to help us understand the impact of the NNPC's 20% stake in the Dangote Refinery. But before you do that, sir, last week, Sanusi Lamido called for a proper audit of the NNPC, calling it the most opaque oil company in the world. Do you agree with his assertions as a former director of the NNPC? He also advocated, and I'm sure that you know, like he's done in the past, that the president of Nigeria should not be the minister of petroleum. I'd like your thoughts on all of these. One thing that happens in Nigeria is that there's a lot of distrust, among between government and the citizenry. And NNPC is a government enterprise. It's a national oil company. Don't mind the fact that it has now been made a commercial organization called NNPC Limited. But government is the sole shareholder of NNPC. And when that is the case, Nigerians will always be wanting to know what is happening with NNPC and NNPC affairs. If NNPC, took 20% stake in the refinery, obviously Nigerians will be interested how it was made, the modus operandi of the stake that was taken in Dangote Refinery. And indeed, while we are rejoicing about this refinery coming on stream, there will be a lot of some controversy in the media about the investment itself. But the only way by which we can clear the air in this regard is to do proper audit. So I support the call of the former Emir of Kano, Alhaji Sanusi, saying that there should be an audit. Of course,
at the end of the day, there must be another, because at least, yes, Dangote Refinery is a private investment, and but to the extent that the national oil company has taken interest, this angle, if only for this angle of the NNPC stake, there must be some level of transparency. Nigerians reserve the right to know, what is going on in the refinery in terms of the investment. So the call for audit, I believe is the right one. That's not to say that there was been any misgiving about the investment. NNPC, being a national, as a commercial organization, reserve the right to take interest in a number of businesses in Nigeria. And the NNPC counterparts in other parts of the world are doing similar things. So NNPC, considering that it will be of interest to Nigeria, and given the strategic nature of fuel in Nigeria, it's good for the NNPC to have some interest in this type of business, because there are many other investments going on in the country right now, although a bit, private investment that requires international funding, and many of them do ask that NNPC should be involved, if only to give some elements of security or support of government for such investment. So I believe that the Dangote Refinery should not have any exception in terms of ensuring transparency about the investment and the amount of money that has gone into it.
Thank you, sir. Staying on NNPC and NNPC's role in the success of this refinery, do you think that NNPC would be able to supply enough crude to the Dangote Refinery, especially considering the oil theft that we deal with in the country? Do you think that the refinery will be able to receive enough crude from NNPC, or do you imagine this might be a problem going forward?
Certainly, NNPC will obviously have ability to supply, crude oil to the refinery, provided the oil theft currently going on in the country will stop or will be abated minimally. Don't forget that NNPC or government has average of 55% equity in all the producing companies in the country. What I mean by this is that in Chevron, in ExxonMobil, in Total, and in ANI, the government of Nigeria has 60% equity in these companies in terms of their production level as well. They will share 60% of that. For share is 55%. So on average, we are looking at about 57% NNPC share of crude oil. So NNPC will not have any problem whatsoever, in terms of supplying crude oil to the refinery. But with the caveat that the oil theft that has diminished the availability of crude oil to not only the oil companies, the international oil companies, but also to NNPC will stop. And government now has to double its effort in ensuring that the oil theft, stops. If this is the case, then there will be NNPC will be able to do this. But more importantly, the President Tinubu is now taking a very, very proactive measures to increase level of investment in the oil and gas industry. It's a big shame that Nigeria, that used to produce over 2 million barrels per day, there was a time in this country when we were producing about 2.4 million barrels per day. And we have been struggling to meet a target of 1.5 million barrels per day. Recently, OPEC was campaigning for about 1.8 million barrels per day as its OPEC quota. And there is no reason why Nigeria should not have this 1.8, if not 2 million barrels per day. So, but the truth of the matter is that investment has stopped for quite some time in the upstream sector of Nigeria petroleum industry. And that's why many Nigerians are now commending and praising President Tinubu for taking proactive measures. And only a few days ago, there was a news that Shell is now having about $5 billion investment in the Agbami Bonga North. Then the President Tinubu met the president of Chevron Worldwide in New York during one of his trips. Also, ExxonMobil big chiefs came to Nigeria because President Tinubu is an alumnus of ExxonMobil, and they came to pay a courtesy visit to him. But in the process, some levels of understanding must have been reached about the investment that Mobil is going to undertake. I'm quite aware as an industry player that there are a number of investments waiting for sanctions, both by government as well as Exxon company. They have some big deep water terrains, that will be waiting for investment sanctions, next year, like Owowo, that is harboring up more than about 800 million barrels of oil. They have additional one like Bosi. The Total, also has some deep water assets. So all these companies are now justly giving assurance of confidence to the president based on the policies he is now trying to roll out, that they will support Nigeria. And if some of these investments come on, yes, the oil production may not result next year, because there will be some level of work to be done before some of these deep water assets can translate into immediate production. But the fact remains that for the future, Nigerian oil industry will become alive again. So much has been said about Nigeria oil industry losing investment, especially when Nigeria was playing politics, with the legislation that ought to have been passed many years ago. But when oil was really in high demand, the petroleum industry bill was being kicked around in the National Assembly. Eventually, it was signed, but by that time, it was almost too late. But with the measures being taken by the present administration, we may be reaping the gains of the petroleum industry PIA that is now in place. And if encouragement is given to the oil companies, they will perform in terms of making investment. And in that case, we can now witness an increased production, because if we are able to increase our production national reserve to about 40 billion barrels, that was the target set many years ago, and we can produce up to 4 million barrels per day, we won't have any problem in supply, Dangote Refinery, or any refinery for that matter, crude oil. But at the same time, oil theft must stop.
All right, Dr. Fawibe, just two questions before we start to wind down, because I believe we've got like 5 more minutes. First, I would like you to clarify, because I like when you said that everybody should come clean as far as full disclosure is concerned. So when we hear of the former CBN governor say at the commissioning of the Dangote Refinery that about 70% of the money that was borrowed to start it had been repaid, a lot of people are wondering what that means. Do you have an understanding of how it is possible for a refinery that has yet to produce, gone into full production, has succeeded in refunding 70% of the amount that it borrowed to finance the project? That's one. And quickly, two, will be when you say that hopefully that there will be an impact on price, I'd like you to elaborate, because that's an area where many Nigerians are saying local refining capacity shouldn't just be about availability alone. There must be some significant advantage in terms of cost to Nigerians. We see that many people, particularly from the NNPC and even from the Dangote company, will want to say that appropriate pricing should apply. But do we have appropriate pricing when it comes to minimum wage that people earn? Our budget size in dollar terms is smaller than that of South Africa, than that of Egypt, than that of Algeria, for example. And the per capita income there are even still stronger. Yet, when we are building refineries, we say that we must pay, the Nigerians must pay appropriate pricing that does not take into cognizance how much Nigerian average worker is being paid. How will this work out, sir?
Well, let me say this up. First of all, I'm not privy to the financial details about Dangote Refinery, and I'm not competent, to discuss this aspect of the investment and the operation. But one thing I know is that for a refinery of this nature, it's a business, and it's not a charity enterprise. It's for profit making. But while you are making profit, at the same time, you have to take cognizance of the role of that enterprise in the Nigerian society. I know many people have been expecting that when Dangote Refinery or Nigerian refinery start to operate, the price of fuel will crash. Well, it could crash, but one thing I know as an industry operator is that we don't expect the same level of price of imported fuel to be paid by Nigerians, in the process of when the refinery start to operate. It may not be very immediate. A lot of adjustment will be made when it comes to this. You see, refinery operation is very, very complex. And refinery of this nature is not a simple operation. For one thing, being of this capacity of 650,000 barrels per day, if it's operating efficiently and very well, there will be economies of scale whereby you will be able to save a lot of cost, and that will then translate into per liter cost, and then the price. When you are operating 650,000 barrels per day refinery, assuming you are even producing about 80% capacity, it's not the same thing as when you are operating 100,000 barrels per day. And then, so you don't need to be an economist or financial guru to know what we call the implication of what we call economies of scale. So Dangote Refinery will be able to translate this into the finances and financial, whereby and will be reflected in the cost of fuel. Secondly, when you take crude oil from abroad, the refiners over there will put all costs about on the price of fuel that we are importing from there. And added to that will be insurance, will be freight, and so many other things that tend to will be added to the actual cost. And then don't forget that the refiners over there will put some, apart from the cost of crude oil, which is the feedstock for producing petrol or whatever, and then the refining cost. You cannot blame them for whatever margin they are putting on it. And then when we now take the products from Europe or from South America or wherever, you can be sure that a lot of added add-ons
Yes.
have gone into the price. And then when we now ship the products to Nigeria, you can imagine what it will mean in terms of landed cost. And then you then add some of the transport, the handling expenses, to it before you get it at the pump station. So, fuel station. So these are the issues. But some of these add-ons, additional costs, for Dangote Refinery will not be there. For Nigeria Refinery will not be there. Now, the cost of crude oil, is another consideration. Yes, we don't know what government is going to do about the cost of crude oil that the local refineries will be taking.
All right.
People used to say that it's better for government to give a discount, for this refinery. So what in effect I'm saying is
Yes,
that I do not expect, the price of fuel coming from local refineries to be on the same level of the price of imported fuel.
Absolutely.
Which has been calling for be attracting subsidy.
All right. Thank you so very much, Dr. Diran Fawibe. I think that's a good point to end it. It's been enlightening indeed. Thanks for joining us on the morning show today. Thank you, Dr. Fawibe.